Simplify x to the negative third times x to the negative eighth. So negative 8 plus negative 3 is negative 11. But they want us to write our answer without any negatives, with the positive instead. So what we do is we change this to a fraction, 1 over x to the 11th. Question 16. X to the negative eighth can be moved to the bottom. So this would be 1 over x to the eighth times x squared. Then, since these are being multiplied, we would add their exponents, and 8 plus 2 is 10. So this is 1 over x to the 10th. W to the 6th to the negative 5th is w to the negative 30th. But we don't want a negative exponent, so we're going to have to change this to a fraction. 1 divided by w to the 30th. That's our negative exponent rule. So in this one, this becomes 1 over all of this squared. So 4 to the negative 2 would be 1 over 16. Negative 3 times negative 2 is positive 6, so that means that x to the 6th is in the numerator. Y to the 5th to the negative 2 is y to the negative 10th, which means it's y to the positive 10th in the denominator. These last 6 questions are about graphs. So 7 to the x is the function. Let's put this in our calculator. 7 to the x. As we look at the table, the values that we would need, these ones are decimals, but we need to think about what those would be. 7 to the negative 2 would be 1 over 7 squared, which is 1 over 49. 7 to the negative 1 would be 1 over 7. 7 to the 0 is 1. 7 to the 1 is 7, and 7 squared is 49. So the building blocks for graphing, first we use the table. And then in the next one, it says plot 5 points on the graph of 1/4 to the x. So parentheses 1 divided by 4 to the x. It is decay. As we look at the table, negative 2, well, let's see, they want us to put 5 points on the function. So if we put negative 216 and negative 1, 4 and 0, 1, that's 3 points. Now 1, 1/4, you may want to use this right here. So 1, 1/4 plot point. And then this right here would be 1/4 squared. So 2, 1 over 4 times 1 over 4 is 1 over 16. Now we have the 5 points required, so we can click this button here, and we've got our exponential decay graph. Negative 2 times 1/2 to the x. Negative 2 times 1/2 to the x. And also draw the asymptote. So it's going this way. The asymptote is at y equals 0. I'm just going to draw that right away. As we look at the table, we could do -2, -8, -1, -4, 0, -2, 1, -1, and 2, -1/2. I'm going to use the plot of point anywhere function for that one. 2, -0.5. Now we've got all 5 points. Click the graph of function button. Goes towards its asymptote. All done. In question 23, it says, just translate it. So this is where we click and drag. +3 is going to move it left 3. -1 is going to move it down 1. So take your point and go left 1, 2, 3, and down 1. They want the domain and range for this function. So the domain is all reals. And the range, since this is a asymptote at y equals -1, means that it has to be less than -1. So y is less than -1. Think about whether our values are above or below the asymptote. And then we've got a graph of e to the x, e to the -x minus 2. We want to look at those two. E is second divide, e to the x, and then e to the -x is going to be a reflection across the y-axis. And then -2 is going to move it down 2. So instead of being growth, it's going to be decay. And instead of having an asymptote at 0, it's going to have an asymptote at -2. So how do we do this? First, we're going to click this function to reflect it across the y-axis. We're going to click this function to drag it down 1, 2 units. They ask these in a backwards order. The range is going to be everything above -2. So we need this one, -2, going up to positive infinity. And the domain is all real numbers, so -infinity to infinity.